When it comes to teaching your yoga students how to position their leg in a balancing pose, there's a lot of debate as to whether the leg should be completely straight or there should be a micro bend in the knee. And I would like to share what I think is the most important component to balancing that I have seen to be the most helpful and the most functional. And that is not to concentrate on the fact that the leg is straight or the fact that there's a micro bend in the knee, but it's the fact that the leg itself should be responsive. It should be responsive to however the body is moving or wherever the weight is being distributed in order to recalibrate its balance to maintain its ability to stay upright. So if the leg is responsive, sometimes that means it might go into a position that's a little bit more straight. If the leg is responsive, sometimes that means it might go into a position where the knee is a lot more bent. Now, this is sometimes difficult for your students to do because within asana, we focus quite heavily on stillness. Whereas if there was some kind of movement going on within the balance, then the responsiveness of this standing supportive leg, it's going to be more diverse. It's going to be more switched on and having to respond, just like I'm doing now. I'm moving this leg around, so this has to respond. Maybe I'm going to reach and bring my body down, so this has to respond. Maybe I'm going to go that way, so this has to respond. So this is really about more functional balance, because that is really what we do in life. The body requires us to move around. When are you ever in your everyday life, even if it's for a microsecond, even if it's for a body weight transfer, just holding in stillness and just really staying there, not even moving your eyes, having everything be stationary? This is just not a very functional approach to balancing at all. So if you're looking to build up the functionality of a balance and how the body responds to having the weight being shifted onto one foot just in everyday life, this is going to be really important for that. And the way that you would want to start to incorporate this in your classes is to add a little bit more dynamic movement into the balancing poses that you teach. Now, there are definitely some dynamic movement that is naturally included in a lot of balancing poses in a yoga class because we have to transition into them and out of them. But if we can teach our students to understand and get familiar with more dynamic ways of balancing so that their standing leg becomes more responsive naturally, then you can just start with something like this. The weight is shifted onto one foot and you just get your students to lift the heel of the opposing foot and you just get them to feel into the responsiveness of this leg. I'll often talk about it as kind of bobbing in the ocean. This buoyancy that is naturally occurring in this standing leg here. Again, we don't want it to just be stiff or just locked into a micro bend. We want responsiveness. So you can get them to shift the weight, to lift the heel, to just feel into that responsiveness. Then you can get them to raise the weight off of that foot entirely. And then maybe you're getting them to move the arms forward. You're getting them to look over there. You're getting them to look over there. You're getting them to reach one arm up. Maybe you're even getting them to move the body forward as the leg goes back. Just all kinds of different ways to encourage the responsiveness of this supporting leg. Now, as I said, this is usually incorporated naturally as we are teaching our students, let's say, to go into some sort of balancing posture and to come out of that balancing posture. There's a responsiveness to this standing leg that is required. And so if we teach that and we encourage our students to understand and see how their body is responding in just something simple like I was showing you before, then by the time they get into the balancing pose, getting into it and getting out of it, then they're understanding, hey, my leg doesn't have to be stuck in one position. My leg should be able to respond with whatever whatever it is that my body is doing. Now, there are some balances that will require them to move a little bit more and others that won't. Others that are more stationary, like when you think of tree pose, there's, not typically a lot that we're doing in tree that would require the responsiveness of this standing leg. And that's why I like to incorporate various ways of getting this supporting leg in that balancing tree pose to be responsive. So instead of just getting our students to be stuck and maybe they're coming into a variation like this, maybe they're coming to a variation like this. For me personally, I like to do force-less variations to support the joints. So I'm usually kind of taking a block and squeezing a block into this way. So we've got a lot of activation there, okay? And then maybe you're getting your students to just soften into the shoulders. Maybe they're moving the arms continuously. And obviously, if some students are really struggling with balance, you might not want to add too many other elements. But even if you're not adding other elements, you're still wanting to get them to feel into the responsiveness of this standing leg and how it can move for them to be able to accommodate for different fluctuations. Because the reality is that no matter how good someone is at balancing, this standing leg is really no use functionally if it's stuck in one position. If I'm stuck into this straight leg balancing position and I start to wobble, it's really only my ankle that can do something about it. But if I'm here, then all of a sudden my whole leg starts to participate. So the balance becomes much more functionally sound to support your students, not just for like pretty poses on the mat, but for functionality off the mat. So if that's important to you as a teacher, this is something that you're really going to want to incorporate into the classes that you teach, into the balancing poses. And even again, just through that simple introduction of getting your students to transfer the weight and to feel into how this standing leg responds in accordance with whatever the rest of the body is doing. I hope you got a lot of value from this video. If you really want to make these adaptations in your class to improve how you offer asana for more functionality, more accessibility, more sustainability, and more empowerment for your students, but you're finding it difficult to really know how to do that, you might need some more support in your teaching. You can book a call with me. Click the link below in the description and we can chat and see how I might be able to support you in your yoga teacher journey.